On a recent live stream, I had my good friend Craig Dunn on from the Surface Duo team where we added dual screen support to my Cadence application. And that led to a bunch of questions about foldables and the future of them for software developers. So Craig and I break it down. From Macovio. They've been using the Duo, and they were struck with this feeling that foldables and these types of dual screen devices are very useful, especially in work scenarios. They're wondering, what are our views, James and Craig, experts in the field? Do you see foldables as another form factor between tablets and smartphones, or a dedicated segment of devices which can do completely new things that the other two form factors don't allow for? Ooh, if the latter, what excites you?
Wow, there's a lot into that. I think the answer is kind of a bit of both. Like it is a new form factor, and I think the obvious reasoning behind that is that it's the size of a phone, right? So when it's folded, this one or the other ones in the category, it will still fit in your pocket, right? It's inherently portable in a way that a tablet generally isn't, because even the smallest of tablets generally isn't going to fit into your pocket unless you're a fan of cargo pants. So it's going to be with you in many more places than a tablet would be. But then when you're using it, it has as much space as a tablet. So if you want to do real work in air quotes, there's enough space on the screen to be able to see that. And kind of furthermore, like even versus having a tablet, there's a few areas and times where this form factor, where having something kind of folded over like this, can be super helpful. So one of them is like just participating in a Teams meeting or a conference call, Zoom, any other like trademarked like video calling thing that you want to mention. The Surface Duo and other foldables can sit propped up on a desk or propped up on a windowsill or something very neatly, with the front-facing camera looking at you and the meeting happening in front of you, and with a whole other screen to type chat, to view a PowerPoint, to do whatever you want to do, in a way that you would do on a desktop. Like you'd be multitasking, you'd have two windows open side by side, right? And this form factor lets you do that in a mobile way that is much harder to do on any candy stick style single screen phone. And the same kind of goes for actually working. So I've seen people tweeting at us. I love when people tweet at us the use cases for the device, and folks are using VS Code Online via GitHub, code spaces, and they're actually just got a web browser with code, backed by a server-based VM. And that's the whole top screen, like a view of their like website, and the keyboard's on the bottom. And they're doing, you're not going to code like that for 8 hours a day, but to jump in and do a quick code review or a spelling check, or for small development tasks, it's much more doable on this kind of device in this posture than a tablet is a bit clumsier because you're typing like this. And a phone, you just don't have enough space to be able to do both of those things. So I think that the form factor and the questions asking about being useful for work, I think that it is a lot more useful for a lot of those ways. And even just having two apps side by side, like the ability to drag and drop from PowerPoint into Outlook and from Outlook into your Outlook calendar. The style of work that you do on your desktop, when you have multiple screens open and kind of referring to data between them, is a lot easier on this than a regular phone. And it's about the same as a tablet. Tablets have that multitasking ability as well. But again, it comes back to this goes in your pocket and it's always with you. So it's not revolutionary in terms of it just does a lot of things better than one or the other of the phone or tablet device. So, and I'm really interested to see, people will continue to think of new ways to take this form factor into more productivity scenarios and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it reminds me a lot of when Nintendo came out with the Nintendo DS, the dual screen device. And it was this, hey, no portable before had ever been, a dual screen, never really had a touch screen. I mean, there were some, but combine this technology into one. And it was up to the developers to make software and games for that device that unlocked its potential. I think the dual screen devices today have the advantage that you can do some scenarios and apps work out of the box in many scenarios like you were just describing, right? One, like you said, you can just use this device as a phone in a single fashion. Here, same thing with all the Samsung devices. Like can be just a phone if that's your scenario that you want to use it for the most. But I don't use my phone as a phone. I never try to take phone calls on my computer if I can. Where I think the other scenarios what you're talking about is that already applications will just kind of work out of the box to do split screen or side by side. Or another advantage of that is like multiple tabs on multiple sides. My wife was just returning some merchandise. She needed to go online to the online chat to chat with them about a refund, and she tried to do it on her iPhone, and basically it says do not like press any buttons, don't go anywhere, don't do anything. Like if you close this chat window, and that's not what it's made for. It's made for a pop up on a desktop, and so she had to go over there and do that. Not to say that it's impossible to do on your iPhone or your Android, just normal phone, but having the ability to do multiple things or have that space that something isn't going to come up and interrupt it is really nice. But yeah, I think that it's more than just the work scenario. I can see the game scenarios for it. And of course, I think, yeah, definitely as a companion. But the key of it is for these devices that it's one less device to carry around. If that's your scenario, like if you are if you're always carrying around a tablet and a phone, it can replace that into a singular form factor to be a companion to your main desktop setup. So for me, I am excited about them. I'll be even more excited as we're seeing more come out. I think that's what excites me about it, is we see the innovation coming from not only from the Surface Duo team, but also from Samsung and other vendors that are out there creating devices. Because the more there are, the more encouragement that means for developers to go create and enhance their applications for it. Because the one thing that you don't want to have is, and what my fear is if we test my cadence on my device, is they put it into the dual screen longer form and then it's a bad experience and that you get a 1-star review for that device. You're going to be encouraged to go update your application for it. But I don't see these devices going anywhere because forever we've been enthralled with multi-display phones and tablets. If you think of Westworld with the folding out tablets, the 3 screens that are on there, right? We love them. That's why we love our tablets. They close down, they open up. So to me, they're here for the long term. I think we're just going to see more innovation in the space. They're going to get thinner. They're going to get lighter. They're going to have more features and gizmos on them, and they'll be nice. And especially if you look at like the Fold, is that Fold like the third version of it or whatever, second or third? Yeah, third.
Yeah, no, they just released the Fold 3 maybe a month ago.
So it's like you continue to see the innovation there. So that's my answer there.
Yeah, actually, before we move on, I can't believe I forgot gaming. Like Xbox Game Pass, was out maybe 6 months ago now for the Surface Duo, and in that situation, you're streaming games from the cloud on the top screen, and the controller is on the bottom screen, and the controller is adapting to the game style that you're playing, and you easily just search for Game Pass Surface Duo. You'll see videos and folks using it everywhere, but it's an amazing experience. Just today, someone was tweeting about Xbox Game Pass on the Surface Duo at the beach, which is totally separately, you can spend hours just playing games in this form factor and having a good experience. So yeah, there's stuff that, you didn't originally think of that it unlocks.
Now I got to go install Game Pass on my Xbox app on there. Awesome. We got a bunch of other questions. Oh my goodness, there's so many questions. Hopefully that answered their question. With the whole point of forms being shared, do we think iOS will ever migrate to foldables? You'll have to ask iOS about that, Formal. I don't know. Well, there's an Apple event in 4 days. I'm pretty excited. Are you? I'm excited for it. I mean, I think we're just gonna get, what is it, iPhone 13. I don't think there's gonna be anything special. And maybe a new watch, right? So.
Yep. Always. Yeah, I mean, the question ends with it feels Android specific. I guess, because all of the phones are our Android phones right now. The iPhone ecosystem is one manufacturer.
Yeah.
But if it becomes hugely popular on Android, that's going to be hard for other OEMs to ignore, whether it's Apple or not. So who's to say? But if you're building, for example, xamarin.forms, you're still trying to do that responsive design between the SE phone, which is 4 inches, and the Pro Max phones, which are 6 inches, and then the iPad Mini, which is like 6.5 inches,
Yeah.
and right up to the iPad Pro, which is 12. So the actual thinking that I described earlier, where you actually want to try and have a user experience that scales through all of those, you can do that and have it work on iOS and Android, and also within this little niche of Android foldables. So even though the folding bit is Android specific for now, the thinking about responsive apps and responsive layouts, I think, applies to both ecosystems. Gotcha. And if you're on xamarin.forms, you're building for both, and controls like two-pane view are going to be able to help you, even if you don't particularly care about the Surface Duo right now.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Is like I want to take the app, if I do some optimizations, just open it on my iPad, which is actually what I use to cycle on, and then see what it looks like, because that could be pretty nice. Hope you enjoyed this live stream highlight. If you like more live stream highlights, let me know. I live stream pretty much kind of every other-ish Friday on twitch.tv/JamesMontemagno. Cover all sorts of topics. If you have suggestions, leave them in the comments below what you want me to code live. Or if you have questions about foldables for Craig or for me, let me know down there in the comments as well. And don't forget to subscribe and ding that notification bell. Thanks for watching.